We are going to record tonight's session. We're creating a alumni YouTube page, and we're going to post these on the YouTube page for folks to watch afterwards if they'd like. So I started the recording there, so we're off and running. So welcome everybody. Welcome to our second online event of the fall. This is a new way for us to engage with alumni, students, parents, and friends of the university. We have family members on tonight, students, fellow alumni, faculty, and staff. So this is a wonderful turnout. So thank you to everybody for spreading the word, and hopefully you gain some great insight to this year's baseball team. As I said, we're going to be recording this evening, and my role, my name's Keith Peeler. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations, and my role on campus, a large portion of it, is running events for alumni. With the current state of things, that opportunity is limited right now, as you know. So we've moved to an online platform and for a lot of our events. And we started last week with a Zoom chat with members of the football coaching staff and players on the team. And this week is folks on the baseball team. And then we'll be extending that opportunity to other athletic teams throughout the fall. And also some other opportunities. We have someone who works with the Maine State Police. We have some young alums that would like to share some knowledge. We have someone who has some current topics like esports, which is becoming very popular. So we've got a variety that we're working on throughout the fall. So tonight's format, basically what we'll do is I'll kind of moderate and ask questions of Chris and Frank and the student athletes, and then we'll open it up to questions at the end from any of our online participants to reach out to them. So anything that I missed, Chris or Frank, before we get started here?
No, it's an exciting to see so many people and so familiar faces, and great to share a little insight here on Husson baseball, that's for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Chris, I'm actually going to kick it over right to you. I'm going to have you start us off and just kind of tell us a little bit about your career. You know, you're a Husson graduate as well. You tell us a bit about your career and your time at Husson, and take it away.
Yes. So played here. Was a 4-year member here. Also played football. Was a football, baseball player here. Was a captain. Graduated in 2010. And was very lucky to be around some great baseball minds here in the area, and coach a lot of different schools between Hamden Academy and Bangor High School. And then was very, very blessed to come back here as an assistant in 2012, I believe it was, which really kind of hit the ground running at that point. Was coaching football and baseball here, which was a blessing to me now. Looking back at my time, it was some busy days and some long days, but I think it really prepared me for the position I'm in right now. So I look back at those 3 years and a lot of long nights, but it's really paid off for me. And was really blessed to be here for 3 great years while I was getting my master's. And then was grateful enough to earn a position at MIT down in Boston. As tough of it was to leave home, which, you know, being born and raised here in the area, and it's such a special place to me. It was a really big part of my career to leave and head down to Boston and join MIT, which is just an unbelievable experience. Obviously, you're at one of the premier schools in the world. You know, you're literally dealing with rocket scientists on a daily basis, which is a funny term to say there. But at the same time, play some great baseball. You know, we were the #1 strength of schedule, played the #1 schedule in the country for 3 straight years. So I think I got a great insight right then on what it takes to play at a high level and play every day versus great teams. And that was a huge aspect of that for me. We also had 2 draft picks while I was there. We had an 8th rounder and a 24th rounder that was selected in the draft, which was also exciting to see, and have them still be involved in baseball was fun. And in my time while I was at MIT, I was lucky enough to be the head coach of the Sanford Mainers, which is in the New England Collegiate Baseball League, right here in Maine. Such a special place. It really kind of kick-started me and, you know, my head coaching career a little bit, in the direction that I took off there. You know, when you're coaching, you know, 25 to 30 of the best baseball players in the country every year, I think we're up to about 35 draft picks in those 3 years, that I had coached, including my first big leaguer this year, which was an exciting thing with Nick Heath playing the outfield for the Royals this year. Even though it was a tough year with COVID and everything, but, actually his jersey's on its way. He signed it and sent it to my house for my little guy. But it was just a really exciting 3 years there. And then was lucky enough to be appointed as the recruiting coordinator and assistant head coach at Brandeis University just outside the city. We had just had our first child, Max, and Brandeis was about a mile from home. So it was a little bit of a great opportunity for me to be able to be home every night with my little guy and my wife. So that was a great chance for me, and just met some other great people and got to, further my recruiting around the country. Was pretty much everywhere in every part of the country in those kind of years there. And then this job opened up that summer. And like I said, this has always been home for me. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I went to Husson and I have a Husson degree and, played sports here, played football and baseball, had a lot of pride in those programs. And, was just overexcited to be back here and back in this uniform and, be able to represent it the way that I know how to. And, now we're back here and back with this great group of boys and right back to it.
Terrific, Chris. Thank you so much. Frank, I'm going to send it over to you. You're next on the list here. You're still muted, Frank.
I do that all the time. I'm the worst unmuter. Thanks, Keith, for putting this together, and thanks to everybody that's logged in to participate. It's a great turnout. So Chris and I already have our wheels turning in about, how can we do something like this during the baseball season, for example, on a regular basis. So stay tuned for more. I am the athletic director at Husson. I will have been here 7 years as of October 1st. October 1st, 2013 was my first day at Husson, and we're closing in on 7 years. So I'm excited about that. Husson is my fifth collegiate athletic director job. And they all total up for 25 years. So putting the gray hair, as you can see over here, a little gray hairs, a little bit over here. But love to be at Husson. Great people, great campus, great facilities. We have all the things we need to be successful, and that's all you can ask for.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you.
Now I'll turn it over to a couple of students. Jesse, you're first on the list here, so you get to go next. So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, your major, amount of time you've been on the baseball team, and anything else you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, so my name's Jesse Colford. I'm currently 22 years old. This is my 5th year on the program, so I'm one of those COVID 5th years. Very grateful for that. And I'm also a Bangor native, so I'm a local guy, and that's been great as well. My major, I got my bachelor's in business administration and management this past summer. I'm currently progressing my schooling and my master's in athletic administration.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Jesse. And how about Kobe?
My name's Kobe Rogerson. My major right now is sports management. I'm 3rd year, so technically with the COVID season, going to be a sophomore baseball-wise, school-wise junior. I'm from right around here as well, Brewer. Yeah, just excited to be back.
Awesome. Thanks, Kobe. And David.
I got you. All right, I'm Jackson Curtis. I'm majoring in business administration. I'm from Ellsworth and 1st year.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackson. Is David available?
Yeah, I'm here. I am.
There we go. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, 3rd year here at Husson. I'm from Beaumont, Alberta, Canada. taken business administration classes, have finance classes as well. Yeah, we're looking forward to the fall. All our, yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Thanks for being here tonight. And Brandon, is Brandon on the line?
Yep. My name is Brennan Smith. I'm also a native from around here. Went to Hamden Academy, grew up in Winterport, Maine. I'm a MBA student with a concentration in financial management and a minor in accounting. This is my fourth year technically playing, third year eligibility wise for the COVID season. Excited to get into it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brandon. So I'll start kind of going around the room here with a few questions, and then, as I said, we'll open it up to question and answer from our guests later on this evening. So first up, Chris, what are some of the things your team's working on to keep them physically and mentally in shape this semester? This semester looks a little different, and I know you guys play in the spring, but what are some ways you might be kind of tweaking how you do things to stay prepared?
Yeah, it's definitely been different. But I think the one thing that I'm the most proud of with our guys right now is that there's been no, I guess, whining or excuses or anything like that. You know, it's just been, I think they're just so excited to be back, you know, to be back around each other. And we opened up yesterday with our first practice, and you know, I said to the coaches afterwards, I think the best part of the day was just seeing the guys run around with a smile on their face and enjoy being around each other, doing stuff that they love to do, you know. And that was just, you know, me personally, it's been a rough 5 months, I think, for everybody. But that just made a huge impact, I think, on myself and our coaching staff. And so that was great. But outside of that, you know, we've been just trying to be creative. I think that's the biggest thing you have to do right now with everything going on. And, you know, throughout the summer, you know, some guys, you know, were just, you know, body weight workouts and, you know, sprints and hill sprints and, you know, getting on a field if you could get on a field. And I think our communication with a lot of our guys was just find a way. And there's no easy way to do it and there's no wrong way to do it, but just finding a way to keep your body going. And, you know, seeing our guys run around opening night, you know, they did that. You know, they rose to the challenge. And, you know, I think our first meeting after our season was canceled was, you know, we're not going to use this as an excuse. We're not going to use COVID as an excuse. You know, we're going to find ways to get it done, and we're going to find ways to go after that championship that we're going to go after this year. And they bought into that, you know, to their credit, and, you know, have really come in a great shape. And it's shown, you know, in the first 2 nights, we've gotten a lot done. We look in a really, really good spot, you know, for where we need to be. So, you know, that's kind of been the plan for us and, you know, what we'll be doing moving forward.
Terrific. Thank you, Chris. And I have a question for some of the students as you're finishing up your time here at Husson, those of you who are in your fourth year or fifth year at Husson. What does it mean to you to be at that point in your career at Husson and in that point in your career on the Husson baseball team compared to when you first started here?
Yeah, definitely. When you're a senior, you look back at the past 4 years and kind of the people that have kind of led you the way and taken you under their wing. With Husson baseball, there's been no question. There's been, since I stepped foot on campus, there's been people that have led me the right way. And kind of when you're a fourth and a fifth year now, you've kind of taken that mentorship role a little bit and kind of try to pass along the knowledge that has been passed down to you. Kind of learn not to take anything for granted. Work as hard as you can every day. There's a lot that can be done that way. Especially now with, you've got to kind of control what you've got to control. You can't go outside of that. So each day come in with the right mindset and kind of get after it.
That's great, Jesse. Anything else that other students want to add to that? I guess you're a good spokesperson then, Jesse, for the team. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach.
Frank, I have my next question for you. You've been here a number of years now. What is one of your more memorable moments with the baseball team over your time here at Husson? Whether a game or just a standout opportunity or moment that you had?
Well, probably my best or most exciting memory in terms of baseball would have been the 2019 season where we finished the the season on the conference tournament and beat Farmington and Linden and Thomas Maine, and then we ended up taking on Baruch from another conference for a spot in the NCAA's, and unfortunately we came up short. But the Linden game, especially in the middle of the tournament, was sweet because we had some grudges with them. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Chris, same question to you. What's one of your memorable moments here with the baseball team?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think for me, probably the number one moment for me as a player, I guess I'll split this two-part. I'll go as a player and a coach. 2009 as a player, we were down 2 runs with 2 outs. We had probably had the best season. Well, we did have had the best season from a win-loss record in Husson history. And, we were down 2 with 2 outs, and we somehow pulled it off to walk off on Castleton to go to the regionals, in which we went to a regional and, we won 2 games there and really just kind of spun the season there. So I think, when I look back at my time a little bit, that's one, I think, day that I think as I speak with a lot of guys that are still great friends of mine that have been in weddings, it seems to be the one memory that always pops up when we all get together. So that's one that's really special to me. And then I would say as a coach, I think the easy one is saying your first win. But to be honest, I think it was my first practice in the fall. It was, pretty special for me, I think, to be back, and to see so many familiar faces, guys who are in this room, and, just seeing the direction that we were going, and the changes that we can make as a program. I think that was a pretty exciting day for me and a day that, that I'll always, remember personally.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Chris. So this one goes to the students. So I was not a student athlete in high school or college. And one of the things I did always admire of the student athletes, both in high school and in college, was the athlete's ability to juggle all of the expectations on their shoulders during the season or the off season, whether it was, classwork, practices, games, mentoring. What are some things you do to help stay focused on juggling all of these priorities, and maybe what advice would you give to your younger self or players who are newer to the team to help balance all of those responsibilities?
Yeah, I'll take this one. For sure, it's definitely not easy, and it obviously is hard to juggle, a couple hour practices, the weight room, and also get to class. But as long as you make sure that your teachers know ahead of time, like upcoming baseball games or travel trips, and as well as like obviously asking and sitting in the front 2 rows of your classes, you can get a whole lot more accomplished than you would sitting in the back, being on your phone the whole time and, just not taking the class seriously. That's really been the biggest thing for me, adjusting from high school to college, is just figuring out my overall time management. And I think that I'm doing a lot better than I was. For sure, if I had to look back at my high school self and tell him one thing, it would be time management.
Yeah, go off that. Smitty touched on communication. I definitely think communication throughout with your teachers and your professors and coach, and just making, you can always make things work as long as you communicate. Coach preaches that more than anything. Just communicate as much as possible on and off the field, and you can usually make just about anything work when it comes to work schedules, weight room times, practice times, classes, etc.
Another thing is talking to your teammates too, really. That helps because they're going through the same stuff you are. So just getting advice from your teammates, just working with each other. It's a lot easier when you have a group of guys around you that want to help you and you want to help them.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. One of the things that stands out to me with Husson Athletics, I was part of I helped out a little bit with the Hall of Fame awards ceremony last fall, and I had the opportunity to meet athletes from various graduation years and whatnot, and from various teams, and the level of camaraderie and teamwork was very impressive. And I think you guys have talked on that. Communicating with your teamwork with your teammates and leaning on each other for support, reaching out to your instructors, all wonderful life lessons that carry over in so many different aspects. So thank you so much for sharing that. So this question for Chris and Frank, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, Chris, what makes Husson sports special or unique when looking at other schools in the state, or maybe even out of state? What makes Husson a unique opportunity for students?
Yeah, I can, for me, I got great insight into this. Obviously, when you leave and you go around and you see different ways that athletic departments, approach athletics. And I can say that the one thing that I think this is a testament to Frank and the job that he does here with us in athletics and whatnot is, the biggest thing here at Husson is it's centered around the student athlete and their experience, and making sure that student athlete has everything and the opportunities, and from the way that we travel to our facilities. Our facilities speak for themselves. What we provide them, from a weight room to our field. Our field is one of the best facilities in New England. To everything that we give to them from that standpoint, I think it's surrounded about them being successful and finding all of those ways to give them that opportunity. And then it's just up for those student athletes to take advantage of that work and be able to organize themselves and help provide them that opportunity. And I just really believe that, me looking at it too from a student athlete's perspective, that I always just felt that way. I felt like my coaches, and between baseball and the football coaches with Coach Price and Coach Clark, were just so unbelievable of making it so that all I had to do was be successful. And it's kind of followed me my entire career. And I think when you look at it that way and you approach it that way, that your student athletes are always taken care of, it's a really nice thing to know, and really from a parent's perspective, it's always nice to know that your son's that taken care of as well, throughout the entire process. And he has, from an academic side of things, through our mentor program, to every kind of aspect that they have in their life, that they can come here to Husson, get a high education, compete on a field, and then be successful moving on in life.
Terrific. Thank you, Chris. Anything you want to add to that, Frank?
I would just add that we get great support from the administration, starting with Dr. Clark, the president, and moving on down to any of the upper level administrators on campus. It really makes it very easy to go to work every day and work hard to be successful, because not only are you not fighting battles, you've got support already in place, and without any questions asked. So, and that doesn't mean, Dr. Clark loves to win, but he really loves to see those grade point averages as well. And so that's a big plus for all of our students and our coaches as well.
Great. Thank you, Frank. So back to the students. So we don't know what the next few weeks will look like. We don't know what the next 6 months is going to look like. The world and the state is changing pretty rapidly with being able to get together and do what we want to do and things like that. With that in mind, as you're preparing this fall for hopefully the spring season, what are some goals you have for either yourselves this fall, and potentially what are some goals as team leaders in one way or another? What are some goals you have for your teammates and your team this fall?
Yeah, touch on that. I'd say just we're going day by day for sure. Getting better at the little things each day is probably the best thing we're doing right now. But I'd say we're trying to find our identity, see where we're going to go. We have a lot of great pieces, and we have a ton of newcomers as well. So we're kind of just trying to find that camaraderie, building off of what we had last year in the short time that we actually got to play. We have tons of new guys, and we have a lot of great old guys to show them the ropes and show them the right Eagle way. And I think the first couple of days have shown that we've done a pretty good job of that. And I'll leave it at that.
To go off that too is like Jesse said, you never know what's going to happen too. So we're just looking to work hard as much as possible and have fun with it. Because like we found out last year, anything can happen really. So enjoy it while it lasts. And then a spring goal for us is get to the College World Series. And that's this fall. That's what we're training for, working for, and that's the spring goal as well.
So Kobe, with that, with that goal in mind, what changes do you make in your attitude or what you're doing physically week by week to prepare for that? What are you doing to kind of ramp that up to really hit that goal that you want?
Keep it, like you said, week by week. Just keep it small goals, I guess. Just get better every single week. And once we get to those stages, I guess it's gonna show. Because if we just keep it small, get better each week, by the time the spring comes around, we're gonna be pretty good. So.
Awesome. Anything else to add from the students? That's great. Thank you, guys. Chris and Frank, last question that I have for tonight before we kind of open it up to others and anything else you guys want to add. What are some goals? You touched on this a little bit already, Chris. What are some goals you have for the program this fall in preparation of the spring semester? And same question to Frank too.
Yeah, I mean, we usually split our year into kind of 4 sections with kind of 4 different goals. We have the fall, we have our winter, which is our kind of our strength and conditioning season, and then we have our spring, and then we get into our summer. But really this fall, I think it's just with our team, I'm so, as a coach, relationship driven. I love our guys. I just love being around them. I think it's been the best part of the past 2 nights. It's been great to play baseball, but it's been great to have them back here on campus. But it's really just to develop that team and that family atmosphere. And, it was so good for us last year between the fall and our workouts, and then our early in the spring season that, this group is just so close. And I think it's what really drives us at the end of it. When the season kind of abruptly came to a halt last year, I think you saw so much emotion. And then I think that was because of, you've done it the right way, because those guys loved being around each other. And that's just something that we're going to continue to go. And it's just a big goal for us as a coaching staff, on top of obviously all of our physical stuff and the baseball side of things. We always feel like those things come into play, through coaching and what we do from a coaching staff. And, the guys on our team understand that when it's baseball time, it's baseball time. You are going to get coached. You're going to get challenged. We're very competitive in that way, but, they also know that, as soon as practice is over, I'm usually the first one to slap them on the butt and say, hey, I got you today, and have some fun in that way of it. But it's really great the past few days to see our guys really challenge themselves and, kind of go from there.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Anything you want to add, Frank?
Those are all great goals. My goals are more department-wide than sports-specific, but at this time of the year, I want all of our athletes to work as hard as they can to improve, and don't forget about the classroom.
Absolutely. So I think at this time, we're going to turn it over to questions from our audience, and I wanted to give a shout to head football coach Nat Clark for joining us tonight. Thank you very much. He was our guinea pig last week with our first fall event. So thank you again for that, and I appreciate that. So do we have any questions or follow-up comments from the students or any of our online guests? Thank you again for joining us tonight. I guess we covered it all. Good job, coaches and students.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Carubia, and I pitched for college in 1969 and 70. And I'm an old guy, but I can still fire the rock, pump the seed, and shoot the pill. And
Dan, we need you. We need a pen arm. Get it loose.
You got it, baby. I pitched my last game 2 years ago at 71. I played in the MSBL.
Fantastic.
And for 50-something years. And
awesome.
Del Merrill was my coach, and Jimmy DiAugustino, Johnny Sinclair, Ron Susi were my teammates. We didn't have, I don't think at the time, we didn't have I like to know more of the training aspect that you do, but it was hit and miss then, and it was the late 60s. Stuff that's going on now was happening then, same thing, and whatever, you know. And but I would like to say to the guys on the team, I heard you discuss this. I could probably meet up with the guys again if we had a reunion. And we were teammates forever. And that never, ever leaves you. And the degree that you get will initiate your job interviews and things like that. And I lived in New York City, grew up there. And when I left college, I went on an interview, and I went back again to another company, 2 interviews, and I was with that company for 35 years in financial markets and sales and marketing. And some of you might know the name of the company when I say it. It's Milliken and Company. It was a privately held textile company, and Mr. Milliken owned a lot of land up in that area. And it was a wonderful experience working for them. And when I think I'm still a competitor, and with the young guys on the team, I don't think that competition ever leaves you. And it formulated something when I left Milliken. I formed my own consulting business. And then about 4 years ago, I walked into the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, and I asked if I could volunteer. And now, 4 years later, I'm a docent at the Norman Rockwell Museum speaking on Mr. Rockwell's paintings. There's nothing you can't do. You've got to compete against yourself. And the way I look at it, Husson gave me that opportunity with the college, with studying, with playing sports. And it was a wonderful experience. We were the first group to come into the main campus there in Bell Dorm. I was up on the 3rd floor. And my wife and I are thinking about coming up to Maine sometime in October. Is the school open for classes and stuff?
Yep.
Well, I'll probably get in touch with you guys, but
Absolutely. Let me know, Dan. Would love to show you around.
keep training. No cans of corns, just frozen ropes, you
That's
know?
right.
And guys, much success to everybody. And without the education, you just don't know how far you can drive yourself and compete against yourself to make a successful career in your life. And thank you very much for letting me join here today.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That was terrific. I appreciate you sharing all that. Thank you so much. Anyone else have any more questions? We have some family members on the line here.
Yeah, hi. This is Steve. Our son and came all the way in from Los Angeles, and we look at Husson as an escape from California. And we're thankful and thank God that he committed a year ago. A lot of players didn't have the chance to commit because they lost their senior citizen. And he's loving it so far, and he's loving the coaching and the whole atmosphere. And we lived in New England when he was young, but he didn't remember it, so he's getting a good taste of it. My question is, understanding there are 5th-year players and that the roster is expanded, probably significantly bigger than you normally would carry. How do you see that impact of development of the players, especially younger players, the freshmen coming in? Because is it going to be more difficult for them? I understand the best play, but there's a big gap between a 23-year-old and an 18-year-old usually. And so how do you see that, Coach, this upcoming year?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really changing anything for us, to be honest. I mean, the opportunity that you have from a younger group, with a younger group of pitchers and, positional players, to be able to learn from a guy who's been in the program from this time frame here and be able to take advantage of their experiences from an academic standpoint to physically to on the mound to in the field, whatever it may be. That's uncoachable in my personal opinion. You can be able to maximize those types of things and be able to see those things, but from a development standpoint, and I mean, nobody who comes into our program obviously has any playing time guaranteed. They're going to earn everything that they're going to earn, and through the work and competitiveness that we have. I really believe with our few seniors who are coming back, which is only 2, or we're not really gaining many from a COVID standpoint. so it's really not affecting our roster at all. But it's just going to be an unbelievable fall, for our guys to be able to compete and go after it every day. And, we're just really looking forward to the spring, and what that brings to us, and the uncertainty of that. But no, it really hasn't affected us, in any way from a roster standpoint.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Chris. All right. I think with anything else to add, do you have one?
Yeah. Hi, this is Sandy
Sammy.
McQuaig.
Yeah.
So I played at Husson 94 through 97, so quite a while ago. I'm feeling pretty old seeing Jackson Curtis on the call because I played with his old man. So a couple questions. Coach Morris, I don't see a schedule online yet. So I know it's usually booked pretty early, but with COVID, I'm not sure if it's a little bit delayed. But I currently live in New Hampshire, so I didn't know if you guys would be playing in this area. And then I guess just a question for all the players. When you get to be my age and look back on your careers, what do you think you'll miss the most?
I'll tee it up so that way they can get a second to get some thoughts in their head there. But yeah, from a schedule standpoint, it's so, I wouldn't say vulnerable right now, but there's just so many different ideas from everything that's happened and what could happen, what might not happen. We'll have a lot of answers here, I think, in the next couple of months as the NCAA and athletic departments start to work their way through what could happen in the spring seasons. But there's been a lot of talk from New England coaches and, kind of options. I think everybody's at that point right now as far as just kind of getting options and getting your feet done. We have a tentative schedule ready to go. It's just a little bit of what are we going to be permitted and, with what states are going to be permitted to play. There's just so many different questions that could come about here that I think we just have enough time. We're just, we're pretty excited that we're playing baseball right now and being allowed to come back into it. So it's going to be an exciting aspect from that. I think the schedule will really kind of shake itself out as we get further along here in the process of this fall coming up. But definitely, there's quite a few New Hampshire schools that have reached out for sure with just our proximity and the two states being so open with each other. That's definitely been a lot of talk, between college coaches.
And New Hampshire is good because the governor has deemed that to be a state that you can go in and out of without any quarantine issues.
Yeah, and to touch on that question that what I would miss most about the program, I would say I'd probably miss working toward one common goal after every single year, just coming in, fighting for that guy next to you, competing for the same goal and the same common goal. It's pretty special doing that year after year. And I think I'm going to miss that when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'll add on that too. Just being around the guys, on the field every day, able to do it with a smile on your face and being around the guys, I think I'll miss that the most.
Touch on what Dave said too is just obviously being around the guys too. And once we, get out of school, it's kind of into the real world for us, as a lot of people know. And like baseball for us is just an escape to that. We just, when we're with each other on the field playing, it's a whole different world than the real world. So we're just having fun. It's just enjoyable. So that's what I'm going to miss the most.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to miss all the boys the most. So we had a question come in from the chat, and I'll toss it to Chris and Frank. Wondering if parents are allowed to come and watch, and I'm not sure if that was referring to practice or games in the spring, but I'll kind of let you field both halves of that question.
As far as right now with over at with our practice stuff right now, I have been told we are not yet. That'll be something that's gonna hopefully open up here soon. And once we get into our phases, to be honest, right now it's a little bit of me trying to feel out how our inter squad and our practices are going to shake out. Just because we have to obviously follow our social distancing and follow the rules that we need to keep our guys safe and keep our coaches safe. So right now, no, is my answer to that. Do I think that could be like that the whole fall? I hope not. But really for now, our next couple of weeks, we don't have any inter-squad scrimmages. We're in our sets of 10 to kind of follow the NCAA guidelines, is kind of re-socialize ourselves. And then we'll be into some scrimmaging at that time. But we're going to have guys spread out through the entire stands, down both lines, just so that way we can stay with all those games.
And a follow-up question came in, Chris, if the fall games or anything like that could be streamed if something takes place.
No, they will not be streamed right now. That will be something, we're going to be so busy coaching, hopefully maybe, down the line, that could be something we could get into. But, right now, with where we're at and with our coaches, we are so busy on the field that'd be kind of just something that, we won't be able to set up at this time moving forward.
Could I ask one more question, which I forgot to ask? I apologize.
No, go ahead, Dan.
Since I'm an old pitcher, and I use the word old, what's the pitching routine for your guys, Chris, in reference to between starts, long toss? Do you limit the number of pitches per game? Do you do analytics on that? Because it's been funny. I should have said this before. I've been very fortunate the last 12 years to work for the Houston Astros minor league baseball team up here in the New York Penn League. Mm-hmm. Very good at analytics. And how do you throw that into the realm of how you judge your players and so on and so forth? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for us to go in depth on that whole pitching program, as I know we have one pitcher in here right now who's smiling and laughing because he knows how in depth it is. We'd be on here for a little while, but we're very in depth as far as our pitching program, from a 5-day to a 6-day program, and to our relievers, and what we're doing inside and out of those things would be obviously a big part of it. But we do long toss. Our plan usually is 3 long toss in between starts. We've also incorporated a pull down day, which is where we really focus on arm speed and velocity coming out of our hands. We really try to, adapt it and build up as we go throughout the entire process, with an arm. We want to make sure that we're peaking on that start day is our biggest goal. We are big in lifting as well, from a program standpoint. I think it's great for your body to really get good quality lifts in between your starts. That's with everybody in our program. We usually lift at least 3 times a week, including in season, from a positional player standpoint all the way through, just to help maintain, that strength that we've had. And it's something that I'm really a firm believer in, that it's a big part of the puzzle, when you're putting those things together. And then from kind of a pitch count standpoint, I've always followed, I stole this actually from Dave Bush, who was the Red Sox pitching coach. He was an assistant with me for a summer in Sanford, but we follow an hour rule. So we really focus on, if you're under, between 20 and 24 pitches, usually we feel like you got 24 hours off, in between the next time that you pitch. If you throw 100, you're more into that 5 or 6 day range, which has been a fun way. And we also go off of, some kids' arms as well. Certain kids' arms bounce back differently, and being able to have some flexibility within their pitching programs to really adapt it to them specifically. From an analytics standpoint, I am huge into that side of the game. I think it probably was my time at MIT, to be honest, because let's be honest, they kind of led the way in the analytics side of things. But we kind of carry a catalog online with our guys that track every start. Ball strike percentage, time to plate, time to first, percentages off of each pitch, velocities. We kind of go through all of those things and into our scouting reports for opponents. We break down our scouting reports really well to kind of give our guys the best possible opportunity. We do a lot of defensive shifting. Coach Sugar, our assistant here, has done an unbelievable job, helping us in that way from a defensive side of things. And, just the overall operations, we wouldn't really be where we're at this point if it wasn't for him. So we're pretty grateful to have him a part of the program. But it's, exciting for our guys, I think, in the analytics side of things, because they hear it and see so much of it and now they come here to college, and we're really putting that into play, which has been a big piece of the puzzle. I could go on about that all night, Dan. We could be on here for 2 hours, man. So anytime you want to talk, you let me know. We could sit on this for an hour or two. Trust me.
I'm going to come up and see you. All right. We'll do that.
I got a binder ready for you. We'll put you got done last year, but I'm not ready for you to retire yet.
We had with the Astros about 2 years ago. I was in spring training, and a guy named Forrest Whitaker, who's pretty. We would count his curveball rotations into such as gloves, and it was absolutely stunning that you could do that. It was just fabulous. So absolutely. I know where you're coming from, so I'll pick your brain.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Chris, another question came in about the team going to Florida in February. Are there alternate plans if that's not able to happen?
Yes. Florida is not going to be happening. That's a, from a standpoint of, from me personally, it was quite the journey to get our guys back. They were unbelievable last year when this all happened, but just the uncertainty of it and whatnot. And, where we're at, it's just a little bit easier from us in a scheduling standpoint to explore different options, and what we have, looking forward as far as that schedule, like I kind of touched base with, a little bit earlier. We definitely have 3 or 4 different options right now. As I've kind of spoken with Frank a bunch of times, there's a lot of New England coaches that are throwing down a lot of ideas and, coming up with a lot of different things to do. And, everybody's just kind of waiting for, that information to come out, and then once that does, I think we'll have a firm, set plan, as far as what we're going to be doing as far as our spring break and, our games moving forward. But it's a little bit too hard right now to look that far out, but it's a little bit of, with my connections and who I know throughout New England, we have a pretty good grasp on, what we're going to be able to do, in a tentative schedule moving forward.
The other factor, Chris, is that the decision hasn't been made yet, but it's a strong possibility that spring break will go away. To either start the second semester later or finish it earlier. And if that happens, then certainly that would put pretty much a big kibosh in spring break. But Chris is right. The university's already made a decision, and this is for any of our teams that would go to Florida during spring break, is that we're not putting anybody on airplanes just because of the potential risk of getting a team stuck in Florida and not being able to get them home if there was a serious outbreak. And right now we hope that there's not another serious outbreak, but certainly we're not ready to make decisions as if it's all over.
Chris, I think I was in Florida around the time that you and the team were down there, and I have to applaud you and your fellow staff and all the teammates for getting back safely and navigating those challenges, because I only had to worry about me, and that was stressful enough to return home during that time. So I appreciate you guys being able to do that.
Thanks.
All right, last call for questions from anybody. Awesome. Well, thank you again to Jesse and Kobe and David and Jackson and Brandon, and to Chris and Frank for being on the line tonight and for hosting our second online event. A huge thank you to all of our guests this evening, family and friends and alumni and fellow students. It was great chatting with you, and as Frank was saying earlier, we hope to do more of these as the year goes on. This was great. Thank you for taking some time this evening. So with that said, we will be getting a link out to the attendees, and Chris, I'll filter that through you, I think, because I think we have a number of folks online that I don't have their contact just yet.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we'll get the link online to where we're going to house our videos, and also links to upcoming videos that you could be part of. So
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everybody showing out. It's great to see a lot of great faces, and I think this is something that me personally as a coach I've learned from COVID is be able to use this technology is amazing to get people together. And hopefully we can do a lot more of these and keep everybody informed of what we're doing, and kind of keep these things rolling. I think it's great for everybody to hear what's happening about this program and see, the love that everybody has for Husson baseball and our university. So we're really appreciative of you guys turning out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.